promising a fierce rivalry with Lando Norris as they both aim to dethrone the reigning champion Max Verstappen. Meanwhile, tensions are boiling at Ferrari as Charles Leclerc issued a stern warning to teammate Carlos Sainz. Sergio Perez future decision update and fresh helmet Marco reveal. Welcome to F1 Real Time. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. Fresh off his victory at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, George Russell has set his sights on dethroning Max Verstappen in 2025, promising to mount a proper fight for the World Championship. The Mercedes driver, who claimed his second win of the season under the lights in Las Vegas, believes it's time for Verstappen to face a sustained challenge. Russell is determined to end Verstappen's dominance after the Red Bull driver clinched his fourth consecutive Drivers' Championship in Sin City, securing an unassailable lead over McLaren's Lando Norris. Speaking to the media post-race, Russell declared his intent to push Verstappen to the limit next season. "It's about time somebody gave him a proper fight. That's my plan, that's what I want to do," Russell told media. You could argue that Max probably wasn't the favorite at one point, and yet he wins it with races to go. So we need to get our stuff together to make it a bit more challenging. The Briton, who has consistently shown flashes of brilliance during his tenure at Mercedes, remains confident that Verstappen can be beaten with equal machinery. "Nobody's unbeatable," Russell emphasized. "You've got to have belief in yourself. When I teamed up with Lewis, who's the greatest of all time, I believed I could compete. Max is right up there with Lewis, and I absolutely believe we could fight him in equal machinery." Lewis Hamilton, who will swap Mercedes for Ferrari in 2025, struck a more cautious tone, highlighting Red Bull's dominant start to the 2024 season as a critical factor in Verstappen's championship victory. "It really depends whether they have a second and a half advantage at the first race again like they did this year," Hamilton remarked. Carlos Sainz, who is leaving Ferrari for Williams in 2025, also shared his perspective, applauding Verstappen's consistency but suggesting the championship landscape could shift with more balanced cars. "Max has done an incredible job this year, but the second half of the season showed 8 drivers within a tenth of each other," Sainz said. "We could all beat him week in, week out." Sainz pointed out that tighter competition increases pressure, which can lead to mistakes and expose weaknesses even in the most dominant drivers. When you don't have a 2-3 margin on your nearest rival or teammate, suddenly the pressure ramps up, and everyone is human. While Verstappen ultimately sealed the title with races to spare, the season's narrative wasn't without twists. Norris appeared poised to take the fight down to the wire after cutting Verstappen's mid-season lead from 84 points to 44 following the Brazil sprint. However, mistakes in the Brazilian Grand Prix handed the advantage back to Verstappen, who capitalized with a victory from 17th on the grid. Russell, buoyed by his own successes and the belief in Mercedes' potential, is eager to prevent a repeat of Verstappen's dominance in 2025. With key moves in the driver market, including Hamilton's shift to Ferrari and Sainz's switch to Williams, next season promises to bring a reshuffled grid dynamic. For Russell, the goal is clear: to push Verstappen harder than ever and potentially dethrone the reigning champion. As he succinctly put it, "It's time to make life difficult for him." Meanwhile, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc has issued a stern warning to his soon-to-be former teammate Carlos Sainz, declaring he will now prioritize his own interests after tensions erupted during the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Leclerc, who is locked in a battle with McLaren's Lando Norris for second place in the Drivers' Championship, was infuriated by Sainz's apparent disregard for team orders, costing the Monegasque crucial points in the standings. During the race, Ferrari instructed Sainz not to attack Leclerc as the pair vied for third place. However, Sainz defied the directive, overtaking Leclerc and claiming the final podium position. Leclerc's frustration was palpable, responding sarcastically to his race engineer's updates by suggesting, "Maybe try in Spanish." After the race, the 8-time Grand Prix winner vented his anger. "Being nice fucks me all the fucking time. It's not even being nice, it's just being respectful." Leclerc, now 21 points behind Norris in the standings, lamented the lost opportunity to further close the gap, with only 2 races left in the season. Ferrari's strategy during the 50-lap race in Las Vegas was far from seamless, with both drivers asked to yield positions at various stages. Leclerc initially allowed Sainz through without hesitation after struggling with tire degradation while chasing George Russell for the lead. Sainz later returned the favor as Lewis Hamilton closed in on the Ferrari duo, but his subsequent decision to attack Leclerc drew sharp criticism. Leclerc, speaking to the media, expressed frustration over the lack of mutual respect. "I am not happy about Carlos, but I won't go into details." Why? Because we talk about these things before the race, and I'm always the only one who respects those agreements. From now on, I will be thinking about myself only. When asked about Sainz's claim that their collaboration remains strong, Leclerc's hesitant response, yes, spoke volumes about the strained relationship. Sainz, who will leave Ferrari for Williams in 2025, has yet to publicly address the incident in detail. However, the Spaniard's actions on track indicate a clear desire to assert himself in his final races with the Scuderia. The tension between the Ferrari teammates is the latest chapter in a season marked by intra-team clashes. With just 2 races remaining and Leclerc determined to focus on his own results, the dynamic between the pair is likely to remain frosty. Leclerc's parting shot leaves no doubt about his intentions heading into the next race in Qatar. "It's a shame that I couldn't get more points on Norris, but from now on, I'll be racing for myself." Meanwhile, Sergio Perez's place in Red Bull Racing is under scrutiny, with team advisor Helmut Marko confirming that a decision about the Mexican driver's 2025 Formula One future will be made after the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Perez, who has struggled this season compared to his dominant teammate Max Verstappen, finds himself in a precarious position. With just 152 points and no victories in 2024, the Mexican driver's performance has left Red Bull trailing McLaren by 53 points in the Constructors' Championship, a deficit Marko attributes largely to Perez's lackluster results. Max Verstappen has delivered another stellar season, clinching his 4th consecutive Drivers' Championship and scoring for 103 points with 8 wins. In stark contrast, Perez languishes in 8th place, 200 points adrift of his teammate. Marko did not mince words when explaining the team's underwhelming Constructors' campaign. "We have to drivers who finish in the points," he stated. Max is more than 200 points ahead of Sergio. "For our employees, it is a disappointment because they will not receive their bonuses as those depend on our position in the Constructors' Championship. And there's no chance we can win it." Perez's inability to consistently compete with rivals from Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren has amplified Red Bull's struggles. Marko emphasized that if Perez had been closer to the likes of Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, or even McLaren's Lando Norris, the team would have retained a commanding lead in the standings. The final decision on Perez's future lies with Red Bull's shareholders, who will meet after Abu Dhabi to evaluate the team's driver lineup for 2025. Marko explained, "There will be a meeting after Abu Dhabi, and the result of this meeting will be presented to the shareholders. They will then decide what the driver situation for both teams will look like for next year." Among potential replacements, Red Bull junior Liam Lawson is the frontrunner to step up alongside Verstappen. The Kiwi has impressed during his brief stint with Red Bull's junior team Visa Cash App RB, avoiding the costly mistakes that have plagued other candidates like Franco Colapinto. Colapinto's recent crashes, including 2 incidents at the Brazilian Grand Prix and another during qualifying in Las Vegas, have reportedly cooled Red Bull's interest in the Argentine driver. Should Lawson take Perez's seat, Isaac Hadjar is likely to fill the vacant spot at VCARB alongside Yuki Tsunoda. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner has remained tight-lipped about the team's 2025 lineup, offering little insight into their plans. Anything regarding the drivers. "We have drivers under contract, and we have drivers with options that remain between the company and the drivers involved," Horner said. "If there was something to say, I'd tell you,